Hey, it's me, SK Nicholas. Another video and that beard and that. Um, Straight off, I'm going to digress. It's anecdotal. I've never used that word on here. It's anecdotal. So yeah, video. The other day, I bumped into a friend of mine, sort of a a childhood friend that I sort of see every now and again. Look at that curly hair, curly Sue. And he used to live next to, I think his mum still does, but they he used to live next to my nan and granddad's that lived in Lucy Farm, which is kind of like a district of Luton. And I bumped into him and we were chatting, and then he said to me, "Oh, do you remember this guy that used to live opposite of his?" And this guy was called Alan. And I was like, "Oh yeah, vaguely." I was never friends with Alan, but I knew him. I've ever since I was a kid, I knew him. Whenever I saw him, I recognised him. And even sort of up until quite recently, I'd see him around town, and he would always be sort of shopping with his dad. So I was like, Alan, remember him? And he said, "Yeah, he's dead. He died of heart failure." Fucking heart failure. He was only like 34, 35. And I was like, heart failure? I don't know if it was a pre-existing condition or if he just dropped dead. But I was like, shit. And again, he wasn't a friend of mine. But it was like, bloody hell. And I've got to that age now where people my age are dying. And that worries me. Because, when I was a kid, the only people that died were old people, nans and granddads, people in their 70s and 80s. And as a kid, it was like death was just light years ahead of me. Whereas now, death is staring me in the face. So yeah, this kid, Alan died, and he was quite a sort of a small chap, not sort of like abnormally, but he was quite sort of small and kind of diminutive. It's a big word. And yeah, and to look at him, you didn't think he was like 35. You just thought he was a lot younger than that. So yeah, kind of very strange that this guy died. And I've mentioned this before in terms of like I think in videos and in writing. It's this idea of I immediately thought, was he happy in his life? He wasn't married and he didn't have kids like myself. But I kind of think, I've sort of got my writing. That's my thing, as it were. So I was thinking, God, this Alan chap, did he have a thing? Did he have a passion? Did he have something in his life that kind of gripped him? Fucking lighting on this is awful. It's fucking bullshit. So yeah, and I was thinking, yeah, was he happy? Was this Alan chap? Alan, what was his surname? Alan Haddon, I think. Was he happy? Was he happy? I don't know. I wasn't sort of friends with him. And yeah, I've sort of been thinking about it for a couple of days now. You know, just thinking, shit. Again, this guy wasn't friends with, never spoke to him, but I've known him for in a weird way for years. I've been sort of pondering it, and again, I've mentioned this in a video where, a couple of years ago, God, look at that grey hair. Got getting grey hairs in my beard. I shaved my hair. The other day. You see, it's quite sort of youngsters in England don't say haircut. They don't say I had a haircut the other day. I'm going to get a haircut. Now they say getting a fresh trim. So I had a fresh trim, albeit I did it myself. Again, I'm not letting any old riffraff touching me. Fuck you. So yeah, I had a fresh trim. Don't really trim that. That just kind of stays the same length now. But a fresh trim felt quite good. Sort of trimmed this little bit. You can see the colour. Boom! Just at that point, it goes ginger. Yeah. What was I saying? I've fucking forgotten. Can't remember. Um, so yeah, I was on there. So I was kind of saying in an earlier video that at one point, before I really got into writing, before I really got into my blogging and then subsequently my journals, I've reflected and I said, if I'd have died at one point, what would people have said? People would have just gone, "Oh yeah, Stephen. I went to uni with him. I went to work with him. I was in a relationship with him," and then that would have been it. It's only again in the last few years I think that I've really given my life some meaning through my kind of creative kind of for the creative act. And I was thinking, you know what? And again, this I'm digressing even further. Jimmy Campkin, the man himself, who I've mentioned sort of many times now, writer, photographer, beast. um, he was down. He lives in the north of England now, but we grew up together in Dunstable, and he was down for a few days in May of this year, May of 2017, and we met up and we were chatting. And at one point, we were sort of walking on this in a place called Dunstable Downs, which is just like fields and shit. It's really nice. Um, and I was kind of again we're both writers and I was kind of and he was as well discussing the creative act. And I kind of remember saying, I'm as much as kind of writing sort of pleases me, as much as it kind of really makes me kind of happy. I do kind of think, shit, if I was to die tomorrow, as much as I would feel proud of what I've achieved so far, I'd also kind of think, shit, there's a lot of stuff I haven't done. I haven't had children. I haven't sort of had children that I could see grow up. And I haven't been married. And married's not sort of on my list. I was engaged, obviously, to Sarah at one point. But still, it would be nice at some point to get into that. So yeah, that would kind of, if I was to know I was going to die tomorrow, oh, look, Jesus is with us. Um, I would still be frustrated. He's still with us. Look at that. No, he's gone. Um, so I'd still be frustrated. I'd still think, shit, there's so much that I haven't done, even though I'm sort of happy with my writing. But yeah, it's still nice to kind of think I am sort of doing something. I am kind of making a difference, albeit on a small scale. And I was thinking, God, Alan Haddon, did he make a difference? Obviously, he probably did in terms of the circle of his family and friends. But again, egotistically, as an artist, as a writer, I want to make a difference on a bigger scale. Much the same as all of these people have written books, made movies, music, whatever. They have kind of create something, put it into the world, and thousands, millions, tens of millions of people have appreciated that art, and it has made a difference to their lives. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to create stuff and put it into the world, and obviously get a deep sense of satisfaction that it's affected people in some way. That's my thing. But yeah, Alan, what did he have something like that? I don't know. Again, I didn't know him. Did he have something that was his passion, or did he not? It's sad, isn't it? I kind of again, even though I didn't really know him, I feel like a certain kinship because, and I can say this because I am. On the face of it, he kind of came across as a bit sad, a bit of a loser. I'm a loser, so again, I can kind of say that. Um, and I'm always attracted to losers. Essentially, I say losers. I mean that affectionately. I'm attracted to people that are on the outside because I consider myself to be on the outside, and I feel that people on the outside are a lot more interesting and a lot more kind of yeah, they've got a lot more substance to them than people that are in the crowd. And Bukowski sort of said, I can't remember the quote off the top of my head, but Bukowski said, don't go anywhere near the crowd. Jack Kerouac, again said, don't go near the crowd because you won't find meaning within the crowd. So I've always avoided that. And so therefore I've always been drawn to people that are on the outside, even people that aren't necessarily creatively sort of, minded. I'm always drawn to those types of people on the outside because again, I just find there's something quite interesting about them. As opposed to people that are in the crowd that, yeah, you're good looking and yeah, you have this lifestyle, but you're a phony, as Salinger would say. You're a phony, a fake and a phony. Fuck you. So yeah, poor Alan. Shit. So yeah, that's 10 minutes. I could end it now, but I'll drag it out for 20 just to be annoying. So on Monday, I met up with my mum and my mum's partner, and they're getting married next year. My mum's obviously been married before to my dad. Imagine I just did the video up here just to be stupid. I won't. Um, so my mum's getting remarried in next year in 2018 in May, and we went to this suit place, a suit hire place in Leighton Buzzard. Leighton Buzzard's like a town sort of about 10-15 miles from where I'm living at the minute. And we went to this suit hire place, put a suit on. I think I looked all right. I think I looked sort of reasonably decent. It was really weird. The guy that was doing, he was kind of. I went into a little changing room, put my shirt on, put my trousers on. I came out, put my shoes on, and then he put the blazer on and he did my tie up, and it was really nice. It was nice to feel pampered, but then it felt a bit gay. And I was a bit sort of like, oh, I don't know if I should be enjoying this, but it was nice, it was nice for someone to kind of like, to sort of, yeah, um, it was nice for someone to, yeah. I've always, yeah, I remember when I was dating Benicia at one point, I really liked combing her hair when she had a bath or a shower. I just like combing her hair. Don't know why I'm mentioning that, but yeah. So we went there, and then we went to this food hall called Pizza Express. I had a pizza and a beer. Fucked me up. I don't like drinking beer in the afternoons. It makes me go mental. And then when I went to the toilet in the toilet cubicle, there was a poster advertising something, and I misread a word on the poster. Don't know what it was supposed to say, but I misread it as beanage, and I thought that's a great word, and I've kind of invented a word, and that word is beanage, and basically beanage in terms of how you would use that word, that it's kind of like a term. Let's say, for example, that you go into a pub restaurant or a pub or a restaurant, well, not really a restaurant, but a pub restaurant or a pub or a greasy spoon. You go in there and you order a full English breakfast. Full English, you got sausages, you got bacon, you got eggs, hash browns, potentially mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms though. Black pudding, potentially. Um, or you've got beans. And I like eating beans, but when I have beans in an English breakfast, I don't like having too many beans because they go cold quite quickly. So when I'm waiting for my meal to come, in the past I've always been thinking, I hope they don't put too many beans on it. And I'm thinking, beanage, that's the term now. So when I'm waiting for my meal, I'm going to be thinking, what's the beanage like? What's the beanage? And it comes, and I'm either going to go, brilliant, there's not too many beans, or, there's too many beans. I've got bad beanage. So hopefully that would be sort of what I give to the world. Forget the journals. Oh, shameless plug. Forget these two journals and the blog and everything else. I've see the contrast. So simple minds. Um, I've created a word beanies. I mentioned in that black pudding. I was chatting to Samantha. I don't know if I know how to pronounce her surname. But apologies, Sam. But I was chatting to Samantha Lucero. I think it's Lucero. Uh, Fellow member of Southern Denmark, and obviously writer, and we were chatting, and I she sort of mentioned that she was a bit weird with sort of hygiene. She wipes stuff, and I kind of told her anecdotally. It's twice I've used that word. I was at work the other day, and I got pig's blood on my fingers. Pig's blood. and it had dried. And then on my lunch, I was eating a sandwich and I hadn't washed my hands. And as I was tucking into this sandwich, I looked at my hands and I had dry pig's blood on them. And I just thought I could go and wash them. And then I thought, oh, fuck it. Bukowski wouldn't care. And that's what I take. Why did I? Oh, it's black pudding. Why did I mention that? Oh, fuck knows. Mine's just like a pinball machine. So yeah, if ever I'm doing something and it's a bit gross or a bit lazy, I think would Bukowski do it? If he would, then I'm going to do it as well. I might read something. I'll read two pieces, one from the first, one from the second. Um, what should I read? What should I read, Stephen? um, as we Lonely Roads. I don't know if this is going to be any good. Lonely Roads by S.K. Nicholas. As we sit watching the waves draw ever closer, the soundtrack of disaster grows until it can be heard over the hum of the engine. Hysterical, I open a bottle of beer using my teeth and light a cigarette. My nerves at ease as your hands linger on the steering wheel. There's only yesterday keeping us together. Wrapped in blankets, you're just like the girl I fell in love with. Only now it's not enough, and as a dog howls to our left, Jupiter shines for no reason above our tired heads. There's beauty in the rearview mirror and rocks in my pocket that contain several kinds of no. Fingers numb, you turn on the fan that blows out hot air. It warms your thighs, but that's about it. Iron up your mouth. I remember how it used to be with me between your legs, but that's a faded memory, and the night doesn't need another. Bruises on my arms. We buy junk food to make it all better, and it almost works. Almost. Pulling into the drive-through, others come and go without looking at us. Lovers in varying stages of transformation, some glorious, but most looking just as doomed as we do. Lightning reflecting on the windows of the car. We eat while listening to old pop songs on the radio. 80s voices calling to us from beyond the grave. There are so many roads that go nowhere. So many lives that exist only to be forgotten. Thunder rolls gently at first, then grows louder as my loins ache for how things used to be. We're not the same though. Maybe we never were in the first place. Checking your phone, I imagine how it would be to die in your arms, and with seconds left to go, I'd want only to gaze into your eyes. But it's only fantasy, for fantasy is all I am. Another one. I'll tell you another little anecdote. Here we go. I can't remember what I've read. Here we go. Mythic Porno Machine. I think this one's a bit rude. Apologies. Mythic Porno Machine. From the second journal. I'm hungover and unkempt, and my love is disguised by clothes that haven't been washed in over a week, and hair that hasn't seen soap in far longer. The fingers on my right hand are stained by all those dirty cigarettes I've been smoking, and I smell of beer, sex, and copious amounts of shame. I feel bad. No, I feel terrible, and no amount of food or tea seems to make things any better. I'm a hypochondriac, and this week alone I've diagnosed myself with several types of cancer. The first was tongue. This was followed by testicular, mainly because my balls ached after we fucked the day before yesterday. Then it was brain because of the headaches, and finally colon cancer due to the loose consistency of my stools. Or is that to do with the bowel? Either way, I'm facing the end. As we chew our eggs and bacon at the breakfast table in silence, we look at each other for clues as to how we're feeling. Fuck up number two. She's suffering from a hangover just the same as me, not to mention the dirty shame at having let someone grope her on the dance floor while I was ordering drinks at the bar. I found out from a friend, and although I don't hate her for enjoying the attention of other men, I'm ever so slightly repulsed at the cheapness of her hips. Her liking for adultery is a concern, but her lack of interest in the mysteries of the universe is alarming. I can't be the kind of Lothario she needs because my desires go beyond the flesh. Or is it that I'm getting old and the female body doesn't excite me like it used to because it symbolizes my impending death? Puking in the toilets from a pungent mix of anxiety and an upset belly, most likely brought on by the cancer, I return to tell her that when we go upstairs, I'm going to strip her naked. Then, once we've showered, I'm going to take her from behind and photograph my seed as it trickles from her pussy. Sometimes I make paintings from the images I've taken, and then at varying intervals I'll look at the photos on my phone whenever she's out partying without me, and imagine her body not as organic, but as the landscape of some alien world that orbits a star several thousand light years away, distant, mythic, and out of reach. Second journal. This is the second time I've made this video. The lighting. I want to be like Jesus again. The site kind of am. I made this video previously. I told Sam this, and I came across as being a bit unkind. I was talking about Alan's death, but I'm quite a dry character when I sort of say stuff. If you're in if you're next to me, you kind of understand that it's just my dry way. But I was kind of talking about it, and I thought, oh, I sound like I'm being a dick. So I made it again. Also, I was reading something from the second journal. It's the last piece, Sleep Forever. Halfway through reading it, I suddenly stopped and thought, have I read this already? Have I read from this already? And then I muddled up my words, and I threw the book away and said I can't be fucking bothered. And then I thought, not professional, but it's okay because I fucked up again today. So yeah, my name's SK Nicholas. Probably got up to 22 minutes, got a few seconds left. Second journal, first journal. Um, yeah, rest in peace, Alan. It's a shame, isn't it? But again, we all die. The trick, as I've mentioned, is speak your truth. We don't know how long we've got. We might have till we're old and grey, or it might be tomorrow. So speak your truth again, because if you don't get what's in here and what's in here and get it out there, it's going to stay in there, and when you die, no one will know your secrets or your mysteries. So I think it's a good thing to get it all out, because again, if you don't, you're fucked. So yeah, I'm SK Nicholas. God bless everyone. It's nearly Christmas. Gonna watch a Christmas film soon. Muppets.